Yes, thank God we get to worship together. What a good morning. We're so glad you're here. Hey, the last few weeks we've been doing testimonies every other week. If you remember, we had Linda Leong a few weeks ago. This morning we have Cliff Cagle, another familiar face in our church. Runs our cafe ministry, he runs our basketball ministry. Cliff, we're so glad that you're here. So thankful that you've joined us this morning.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, Cliff, let's just start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself, you and your wife, how long you've been here at the church. Just what's your story to get where we're at right now?
So Kali and I joined the church a little over 5 years ago. Up to that, neither of us was really raised in the church. Both of our parents were spiritual, but not necessarily religious. They didn't practice. It wasn't until I was an adult that I found out that my mom had been a lifelong Christian, and she shared it with me later in life. But yeah, Kali and I decided to come to church after I found my sobriety.
Yeah.
So we made a list of churches to attend and visit. Calvary was at the top. We came in. We never left. We were FIFO people.
Oh, I'm so glad. FIFO. That's a funny one. You said that to me earlier. What does FIFO mean again?
First in, first out. So we were hiding in the back of the balcony. We'd come in so we could get a good spot towards the door. And then as soon as worship ended, we were out.
At some point in life, we're all FIFO people, really, sitting in the balcony. I do still love the balcony, actually, when we're back in the church. But so what happened next? How'd you take another step in the church? How'd you get even more involved?
So through our initial visits, we got to see a number of baptisms on the stage when the tank used to be in the back here. And Jameson, my son, actually pushed us all to get baptized together. Through that little process, there was a job fair in the cafe, and we got hooked up to volunteer in the kitchen.
Oh, that's awesome. So job fair meaning like different ways to get volunteer.
It was a service fair. So worship had a table, and the kitchen had a table, and sports had a table, and we just got connected through that way.
Yeah, you're real. The crazy thing about you, Cliff, is I always imagined, like when I've gotten to know you, that you grew up in the church, like a kid that grew up going to youth group. You were the one that was like bouncing around the church all the time, out in California, like carrying your surfboard or, on your skateboard to church. But that's not the case at all.
No, not at all. After about 3 years of being at the church, working through the kitchen, Kali and I took it over. Around the same time, I took over the basketball ministry. So I'm running two ministries, and I said to my mom jokingly, I was like, leading up to this, 3 years ago, I was living a debaucherous, horrible lifestyle. Now I run two ministries, and they gave me keys to the church.
Oh, my goodness. It's just crazy. That's awesome, though. That's a story in itself. And so we're up here, though. This week, we're talking about Proverbs 2. Pastor Lee's going through that, and just the need for wisdom and needing to be purposeful with wisdom. And so we're up here talking about having other people in your lives, having a mentor in your life even. And so we know that Shawn Remick became someone who...
Yeah, Shawn's awesome.
Shawn is awesome. I love Shawn, too. He's an elder in our church. His family goes here. Just a great man. I used to start a meeting with him. But tell me what happened. How'd you end up thinking you needed a mentor?
Kali and I had been coming to church. We joined a small group. And I realized that by reading my Bible on my own, attending church on Sunday, attending small group once a week, I'd kind of reached capacity. I wasn't going to learn anymore without somebody feeding into me. Yeah. And I was feeding into other guys in the kitchen ministry and in basketball, but I wasn't being led myself.
Yeah, we were talking about earlier how there's always more growth that we could have for the rest of our lives. Until the day we die, we could always grow. But you can't grow in a vacuum.
Can't do it by yourself.
And we all need somebody to process with, especially us men. We just need to be able to talk and bounce things off. But the key is, who are we processing with? And so having a good man like Shawn in your life to help you process, that's a big deal. Tell me a little bit about how it's gone with Shawn.
Working with Shawn is awesome. When I was looking for a mentor, I went to Pastor John because he leads my small group. And I said, hey, what are the qualifications that I need to find a mentor? Because I don't know how this works.
How do you do this thing? What's the right roles? Who knows what they're...
But does a person need to be older than me? Do they need to be further in their walk? How does this all go about? And Pastor John looked at me, he goes, I can't be your mentor, but I can help you find one.
Yeah.
So then he introduced me to you.
Yeah.
You and I had a conversation, actually a couple of them, about what I was looking for and where I was. And you said, I know the right guy for you. And it was Shawn.
Yeah.
So then I connected with Shawn. And that's been awesome because Shawn is further along in his walk.
Yeah.
He is a little bit older than me. He's a parent. He's married. He's been through a lot of the same struggles that I'm going through with my son on his own. So when I have something, I can go to him and be like, hey, have you been through this situation? He can lead me back to Scripture. and he can give me practical examples of things that he's done.
Yeah, you were telling me, because I know you guys go through some content together, but in the midst of that content, you get to talk about how to raise your son, how to be a better husband, all sorts of things, like just how to live life.
Yeah, it's perfect to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and to struggle with and that can revert you back to the right path. Like everyone else through this whole thing, we've been through some dark spots.
That's so good.
And without Shawn helping to guide me back and right the ship and get me back on the right path, who knows where I would have gone, and I definitely couldn't have done it alone.
That's such a big deal. And even as we're looking at Proverbs 2 this morning, one of the ideas in Proverbs is just being active and pursuing wisdom, just like Cliff did here, just knowing that we can't grow in a vacuum. We need people around us. We need good people around us.
Can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone. Thanks so much, Cliff, for sharing your story with us.